one chuffy 1 2. Hi, you're with Scott. I'm Ganjikidd, the super chuffer. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. Should be rolling on Twitch. It's midnight. It's always midnight. This is your right ear and your left ear. I am rolling on Twitch, and my hat looks absolutely ridiculous. Well, it doesn't. No, there's no such thing as ridiculous in the world of hats these days. You can do your hat however you bloody well want these days. But I just want my hat to be just normal. We are going to be reacting on a Genshin Impact stream to a Genshin Impact video. It's Asmongold reacting to a Genshin Impact video. There is just one little thing I want to say to a Genshin Impact. Okay, I'm probably going to cut this as a Ganjikidd. I'm probably going to do this stream now, watch this video, react to it, and then cut it as a Ganjikidd, which means that I'm just going to throw it up here on this Ganjikidd's channel. I'm going to cut it like a clip and put it up on Ganjikidd's. I've got these other channels, you see. There's Ganjikidd's. We also did Ganji Arts. This was where I was editing my videos, like doing a full-on interview. Not interview, what am I saying? A full-on review of a game, for example, like Moonlighter here. And I wrote it, and then, because I played the game on stream, then I wrote the review, and then edited it, made a half-hour video of it. This one's a 2-hour review of Paratopic, talking about things like the Naked Lunch, all sorts of other stuff. Edited content. Did that. Did about a year of it and decided it wasn't taking off, wasn't getting the number of views in the same way, because I did like an experiment. I did 2 channels at the same time. Ganjikidd's, on the other hand, where I don't bother with the editing. I just take the whole section where I was talking about it and just put it all in the video. Bang, done. Talk about lots of different things on stream. Cut them up. Put them on the internet. That Cuts channel, Ganjikidd's, a bit like Asmongold TV here. It's a bit like Asmongold TV. So that actually takes off, that works. People watch some of these videos until YouTube stops suggesting them to people for some reason. I don't know why. Some of these get quite good views. That's cool. I'm happy with that. Quite happy with that. About 4 months ago, I did this video called Genshin Impact is Art Beyond My Wildest Dreams. And this was a pretty interesting video, actually, in some ways, because I could have edited it down. I could have written my script and done one of those art review things, but instead I just talked for about 40 minutes after having played the game for about 4 months, 6 months, 9 months, don't know how long it's been now. After having been playing the game for a while, I talked for a good long time about Genshin, from the concept and context. I've talked about it a lot on stream, Genshin, lots of different reviews as I've been playing, sort of thing. Lots of different ideas have come up while I've been playing, and they kind of count as like on-the-go reviews. Writing one review for the whole of Genshin Impact would be quite huge. Maybe I should do it. Maybe it'd come out like a 3-hour video and I'd spend 3 months working on it. Instead, I'm a streamer at the moment, doing a lot more streaming. So I just talk for 45 minutes, put it up on the internet. And I've also labelled it in different chapters so that you can navigate your way through it a little bit. Talk about different things here. So at first I reflect on my history of video games and, you know, what kind of games I had when I was a kid. And then I reflect on how this is different to other games, Genshin Impact, and what I wanted as a kid and what we can have now, like how this is something greater than what I ever imagined. Talk about game design in this, and we talk about Fortnite and other ongoing games. We talk about some history again, Pong and the Lost Frog, what you can do and could do and can now do in game design. We talk about, like, this is quite a good, interesting conversation video, this one. What is an online game? A game can be a whole world. And I referenced the indie game development film that I made, talking about people who actually make games. We talk about the metaverse, talked about The Last of Us, video games as art, interactive artworks, animation, game development again. We talk about home as art. Don't know what that even means. I've written it in there as a chapter though, strange. And in development, talking about more than games. So there's a lot of conversation. I can't remember exactly what I said in this because it's a 40-minute video that I did 4 months ago. But conversations had in chat as well, which I'm really interested in. I like these conversations in chat. Genshin is such an inspiring piece of art. It made me start learning to draw. And now we've got Sumeru. I'm vibing to Port Ormos theme 24/7. Yeah, the music is huge. The music is huge. I did a whole one video just reacting to the music. Done a couple of them. They get a few views. So I'm into this. I'm reviewing it like it's an artwork. And I think it's hard to review it in one video, but my one video there, Genshin Impact is Art Beyond My Wildest Dreams. It's probably my closest that I get to it. But we might continue. Maybe I'll do a edited review in the future. Asmongold today, cracking my knuckles. I'll be honest here. When I saw this, I thought, oh, And I don't know, I haven't reacted to it yet, so let's react to it. But I'll be honest, right? Because I make videos about Asmongold, will he play Genshin Impact, Asmongold's ideas, me reacting to Asmongold's ideas. You know, I was a bit surprised. Someone else has done a video about art and Genshin Impact and he's reacting to it. And I thought, oh, I wish that had been my video he reacted to. Maybe mine was too long, not edited. I hope they don't, I tell you what, I tell you something now, I'll be honest as well. I hope they don't cover the same sort of stuff as I covered in my video and it makes me feel like they watched my video and then made their own one a few months later. They release it so it doesn't seem like they're copying me. There's no such thing as copying each other on the internet. People just make videos. But I think it's good that everyone... Like, let's all make a video about Genshin Impact being good art. Let's all sing the same song. That's a good thing, because Genshin Impact is good art. It's no surprise. This person probably didn't watch my 705 views video. They probably just watched their own. Mind you, Genshin Impact is a sort of niche, and if you're typing in Genshin Impact and art, you might have seen my video. Maybe it's an inspiration to you, maybe it's not. Whatever. I just hope it's not too on the nose of what I've done, because it will start to make me angry throughout watching it. I don't know what's about to come up. So I hope it doesn't do that and make me angry. But in the main, I'm looking forward to it because I am also on this page. I am also waving the flag. Genshin Impact is a wonderful piece of art. So I enjoy it immensely. And there's my Ganjikidd channel, which you're probably watching this on anyway, not on my stream. So let's get into it.
Promise regarding Genshin? Yeah, I'm gonna play it. Bro, this...
will you keep your promise regarding Genshin? He's going to play it at some point. Hooray. I think he already has. We talk about it on some of the videos on my channels.
It's a single-player gacha game. People pay real money to beat the CPU. Here's why. The girls are hot. We're going to take a look at it. Why Genshin Impact is...
Okay, hello. It's not just because the girls are hot, is it? Oh, that's starting to annoy me straight off. To be fair, right, I'll give Asmongold his due. I think he's quite a thought leader, quite a thoughtful person, and he has some really good opinions, and he handles some things in really good ways. Other times, like recently, I feel it can be a little bit off the mark. And I won't go into some of the other recent things that have happened where I felt, bloody hell, you know, if you hadn't XYZ, you might not be XYZ. Let's not even get into that. I think sometimes he's been off the mark. That was an off the mark comment. It's flippant. It does start to annoy me the way he repeats it like it's the waifu simulator game. We've discussed it on this channel before. We actually have to accept that it was originally started by people who are creating a waifu simulator game. That was one of the initial reasons for creating, not Genshin maybe initially, but the games that led up to Genshin. And I think Genshin is a much more broad piece of work. But it does have that within it at some stage. So yes, it does. But... like, it irks to hear it. Like, this is the reason I never started. When I first looked at Genshin, what I was doing was I was looking for a game that we could play on stream that was long, that I could commit to, like World of Warcraft, you know, ongoing, make videos about it, talk about it, sort of thing. Here we are, we do Genshin Impact. The reason I didn't want to do it is because I thought it was a gacha game that was there to rip people off. I thought it was a waifu simulator. You know, I'd heard all this rubbish, so that put me off playing it. And then when I did play it, I thought, oh my god, I missed out on all this wonderful goodness. And I was only going to play it just to prove to everyone that it was a waifu simulator and show off how much money you have to spend and all that. Look, in the top corner of my video here, Genshin Impact, money spent, none. And I've had loads of fun, got loads of characters. It's really great. They're not all waifus. I don't find it a waifu simulator. I found it much more like a kung fu ARPG. But, like,
need to beat the CPU. Here's why. The girls are hot. We're going to take a look at it. Why Genshin Impact is an artistic and technical masterpiece. I'm going to be real. They spent $100 million a year on this fucking game. It better be an art.
I'm glad I did loads of chuffing away before he started swearing, because YouTube are going to be hot on the swearing nowadays, aren't they? So I'm glad I did loads of chuffing now. I'm going to try and keep to chuffing. It slips out sometimes though, doesn't it?
Artistic and technical
And yeah, they spent loads of money. Doesn't mean it has to be an artistic technical masterpiece. Don't be silly, Asmongold. They spend loads of money creating the Avengers movies. They're not technical. I mean, they might be technical. Artistic masterpieces, you know, ask Stanley Kubrick. I don't know if you're just spending loads of money on it makes it an artistic and technical masterpiece, does it?
Masterpiece. That's a lot of money.
When was the first time a video game truly...
When
was the first time a video game truly made you say, wow?
Whoa, when was the first time a video game truly made you say, wow? Well, I told you I was going to get angry if it happens. That is like one of the first themes of my video, reflecting on old games and what I consider to be the upper limit of what we could achieve. And I also brought it back as well, didn't I, to talk about like Pong not being that, didn't really mean much to me, but other games might have meant a bit more to me. I don't know, maybe that's a way of, because I started with that reflection. Oh, you chuffer. Don't rip me off. Don't rip me off.
Maybe it was walking out of the vault for the first time in Fallout 3.
I would
Yeah, Fallout, yeah. I've got a video about Fallout on my channel. Don't start.
say the vault in Final Fantasy 14.
What was the first game that made me say wow? It was not any of that. You didn't need any of that. It wasn't like, oh my god, these graphics are impressive, now I can say wow. What was wow was being able to play an arcade machine in your house. Okay, we've all got different perspectives, we're all from different generations, what have you. Okay. Like, things are different now. Okay, it might be the graphics for you now. No, in whatever generation you were, it was the ability to just see it and have it in your house. Whatever you had at home was wow. Because it was pretty fucking wow.
I would also say Elden Ring. Like the Nakud City, the Eternal City.
The first time you said wow in a video game was Elden Ring.
And you go down that shit and you're like, what the fuck? Or Leyndell. Or Dark Souls. I would say, like, the weird thing with Dark Souls is, like, the wow moment whenever I beat Dark Souls happened when I beat the game. And the credits rolled. I said, what the fuck?
Yeah, I felt that. Yeah, I felt that. Like, that was quite a moment, yeah. But, again, did I ever beat Mario 3? I think I got really close when I was young. Really close when I was young. But those moments still existed way back in gaming. That's not a modern phenomenon.
Crazy. Yeah, I feel like there have been a number of good wow moments in games recently. Anne Orlando, yeah.
That's not what was asked.
Those little dick boys crawl you over there.
I said, when was the first time?
Fly you over there.
Or maybe it was watching the first Colossus pass you by in Shadow of the Colossus.
Yeah.
Don't be ridiculous.
But for me, it was the first time I saw the world of Genshin.
I'm gonna be honest too.
What? This is ridiculous. I think this is ridiculous. I'm just going to skim back and confirm that he's asked, when was the first moment you said wow in a video game?
Truly.
Just
When was the first time a video game truly made you say
now.
wow?
When was the first time a video game truly made you say wow? Oh, it was in just last week when I played Genshin Impact. Get fucked. I mean, I'm reacting to this. I don't want to be mean, but come on. Is there anybody out there who could say the most recent experience I've had in a video game was the only real recent time in memory at all when it made me say wow? I'll go back to playing Turtles on the arcade machines and being blown away. Every generation that moved forward, I was like, wow, blown away every time. I'm constantly being blown away. Maybe I'm just fragile. Maybe, until I saw the world of Genshin Impact. Hang on, have I not gotten a thing about the world here? A game can be a world. That's the point I make in my video. A game can be a whole world, and Genshin Impact is like that. And then I reflect on it and say it could be like the metaverse, because unlike other games leading up to this point, this has now got, like with Grand Theft Auto, has lots in it. You can play poker, you can do this, you can do that. We've all got the mini games here, so I'm starting to see it resembling, like, this resembles my argument. This is gonna wind me right up, isn't it? Watching this. Like, is it because I feel like I should get some credit or something? I don't know. It just feels like, and I don't know. This could still go any direction. Please don't just sound like you're copying me. But maybe we just had the same ideas independently, some weeks apart, some months apart. Maybe your video took a bit longer to release. Maybe I released mine while you were writing yours, so I can't claim it and copyright it or anything silly like that. Ideas are just out there, aren't they? And there are many ideas, and many of us are having the same idea. But, okay. Okay. You tell me in chat as well. If I'm making this too, you tell me, watch the videos, watch this one and then watch the other one that I made and tell me if they overlap or not. I might be wrong.
The vault for the first time in Fallout 3.
I would say the vault in Final Fantasy 14. I would also say Elden Ring. Like the Nakud City, the game.
First time I saw the world of Genshin.
I'm gonna be honest too. I actually think Brelshaza Gate 6 was a wow moment fight. And so was Vaulton Gate 2. I actually think that those fights are S tier on a level that no other MMO is actually above.
Must be
There are
World of
fights that are
Warcraft.
equivalent to that. Like
Must be World of Warcraft, 'cause I've got no idea what he's talking about, and most people won't these days. Who's playing World of Warcraft still?
Mythic Gul'dan. But
I'm only poking at him from a Genshin perspective, because, you know, Genshin's quite popular and World of Warcraft seems to be dying. And I made a choice about which game I would choose to play, and I was open-minded enough to, thank God, play Genshin Impact.
I don't think there's anything that is like objectively just better.
Genshin Impact.
It's so good. Any wow moments or wow?
But whoever made this video, and it was from Starlize Nation. Starlize Nation is telling us that they didn't find a wow moment in gaming until this was their first one, seeing the world of Genshin Impact. And I would say, bollocks. Absolutely bollocks. I play Genshin Impact and I love it. And when I saw it, I thought, this is a lot like Zelda Breath of the Wild, isn't it? And then it, you know, got bigger, and it doesn't get bigger overnight. It expands step by step, so you get used to it. And then later on, you're like, wow, this is really big. But there is no moment where you say, this open world is huge, bigger than any other open world. No, it feels just very similar to most other open worlds on startup. Not a big wow moment. I contest that.
Yeah.
But then it's their opinion, isn't it? So maybe they're just telling me an opinion. I don't know how they came to that opinion. I can't see it, but let's see if they're right, you know.
Mythic Gul'dan.
Oh, let's have the advert now. Now the advert. You chuffer. I've already watched one to prepare this.
That was fucking badass. Ragnaros.
And like all this animation, unless you get to see this before you play the game, I didn't see any of this. I saw it step by step along the way. Like, I don't think you get served the whole world all at once in Genshin, and you certainly don't want to spoil it for yourself, do you?
Style and create something so
I see why it's
unique.
Ragnaros. Heroic
But
and Phase
why
4
is it so
gets
beautiful
up.
anyway? What's going on behind the scenes here?
Lot of
How does
money.
Genshin Impact manage to combine real-life influences with an incredibly convincing 3D anime art style and create something so
I see why it's
unique
popular.
and fresh? The perfectly executed anime art style is
Okay, how does Genshin... That's not... I'm glad that we're not going the same place now. I'm glad that maybe we had the first start point together. Now their video is different to mine. I'm glad. This is an interesting question. How do they create this art style, this anime art style, and fuse it with real world? Well, that's not that interesting to me, though, because it's kind of obvious what they do. They take the real world stuff and just fuse it with the anime art style. You just described it, didn't you? And who did that before? Oh, Breath of the Wild. It was just like Breath of the Wild, really. And they already had Honkai Impact that they'd worked on. So it was like, take all the engine and mechanics of Honkai Impact and reskin it with a bit of Breath of the Wild. And these days you see it so often. Let's throw in a little bit of this and a little bit of that. Like, I critiqued it from an art style when we went through Sumeru, because it was a little bit like a random mishmash, and you can just have what you want, and you just don't have to have this, and you do have that. And like, forget about whether it works anachronistically or chronologically or anything like that. It's just some stuff from our world that we like. We'll have the pyramids, and we'll have the Turkish delight, and we'll have this and we'll have that. You know, just they do put a lot of lore and depth into it. I'm a really big fan of Genshin Impact, but it is really easy to see how you could just literally say, take stuff that looks cool, put it through the anime filter, we're away.
It's a big reason why so many players like myself have developed an unbending loyalty to this game. And is this exact
An unbending loyalty I have not developed. I really, really enjoy Genshin Impact. I'm a big fan. I play it all the time. I stream it all the time. I'm a big fan of Genshin Impact. Unbending loyalty, absolutely not. When I choose to move on from that game, like all the other games I've played over the course of my life, there will be a point where I just choose to move on, and I'm quite happy with having had that fun. Like, I go to the cinema and I watch the films, and I don't have to have an unbending loyalty to the people who make the films or the films themselves. It's just entertainment, isn't it? So, like, calm down a little bit. I'm not vibing with some of the concepts here.
art style that I want to dissect today? Without further ado, let's explore the art of Genshin Impact.
The art of Genshin
I know
Impact.
somebody
okay.
in chat goes
so
and said-
we are actually going more detailed when they say the art. In my video, Genshin Impact is art beyond my wildest dreams. I'm talking about a meta, like a wider, standing back and saying the game as a whole is a piece of art. Can a video game be a piece of art? Well, we answered that a long time ago. We do talk about animation. We do talk about animation and style with game developers here in the video, talking about, you know, game development. Yes, but I'm talking generally on a wider context. You know, is a video game a piece of art? Yes, it is. This is a really good one. And I talk about sort of wider focus topics. Talking about the specifics of the art style, is getting into a more detailed, nuanced conversation about a more specific thing, and I will say they have not copied me. I was worried about them because the titles seem quite similar, and I was like, oh god, you know, imagine that though, you make a video and then someone else makes a video just like it and Asmongold reacts to theirs and not yours. You'd feel bad, wouldn't you? Especially after months and months of putting up Asmongold related Genshin Impact content. I'm the one he should react to. I see that. I'm joking, I'm laughing. I see that, you know, how stupid it makes me sound, so don't start giving me hate about me being a big head. I'm reacting to Asmongold reacting to this video like I'm on the thin end of the wedge. Oh no, I'm at the thin end of the wedge, old Scotty Hottie down here. I know my place, don't worry.
As comparing masterpieces to Genshin, the reality is that I bet Genshin is a masterpiece. I bet, honestly, the graphics and the style of this game and the way that it plays is probably fucking perfect for what it is.
Yeah, true that.
Now it might not be what you want.
The universe of Genshin Impact was created with an outstanding...
I don't know why you say that, because what they try and do is what you want, I think. I think what we've chosen with Genshin Impact, in a way, as players, is the game that we like. I think a lot of people come to Genshin Impact because other games like it, Breath of the Wild, for example, or maybe some other people from other games like Honkai Impact or whatever, like, whatever your reason, when you come to Genshin Impact because you think it might be a bit like this, and it turns out really to be like that, but also really good in lots of other ways, which I have discussed in my videos. When it turns out to be this real richness, like, it's like saying I like cakes, so I chose this cake, and oh my god, I didn't realise inside the cake there was this cherry filling, and then the icing underneath had this extra layer, and I didn't realise the cake was going to be like you thought just a cake, but then you got extra, you got super cake. You know, now you're talking. And that's what Genshin Impact's like. When you come to it from any angle, it then fulfills your expectations and offers more. So yes, agree.
Amount of attention to detail upon an intricate framework that contains a surprising amount of reference to the real world. We'll get into that in a bit.
We talk about that on my streams. I won't say that you've stolen the concept, of course. I don't mean, I really, honestly, I'm glad to hear somebody else singing from the same hymn sheet. We are all in favour of Genshin is good. I'm on the same team. I see this as an ally, not somebody I should be like, oh, they're saying what I'm saying, competitive. I was joking. I was trying to make a joke. I hope it came across well. But at the same time, I do have feelings. You know, I am human, and I do want my videos to grow, and I hope that Asmongold one day is reacting to me. So maybe I need to edit more. Is what I'm learning from this. But yeah, this is all good in the hood.
Genshin's universe is split between 7 factions.
What did they just say then?
Ending amount of attention to detail upon an intricate framework that contains...
Oh yeah, real world stuff. Of course, there's the geography, which, yes, you know, I didn't make a big thing of it when we were going through Leeway, but clearly, geographically, very similar to certain parts of the world, yes. And they did that within Azuma, of course. And they will continue to do it. Sumeru, the rainforest, they will continue to try and be geographically similar to aspects of our real world, of course. But it's more than that, isn't it? It's that we picked up through our streams. Maybe it's just people who've got different knowledge and people see different things, but I keep picking up, and I don't know a lot, I'm not deep on it, but I keep picking up Buddhist symbology, Buddhist reference, Sumeru itself, Mount Sumeru. The Genshin himself is a monk. You know, I knew a few of these things that I was able to throw at it, and I'm sure everyone that plays Genshin sees something slightly different, that there is an echo of something in their, I don't want to say memory, knowledge bank, and it adds to this richness of world that makes you feel like, when they're saying about details there, it's details. If you see details, you assume depth and detail. Even if there are only certain details you see, you think, oh yeah, it's like a subconscious thing. Oh, this is detailed and deep. It's rich and diverse. I feel like it is. I recognise it. This is good. Yeah, I agree with that as a concept.
It's a surprising amount of reference to the real world. We'll get into that in a bit. Genshin's universe is split between 7 factions, each corresponding to an element.
By the way. I didn't
These
know
include
that.
the 4 elements considered by the Western cultures as the
Asmongold, they're going on about it's a dude there. There's quite a lot of men in Genshin Impact. It's quite a balanced representation of gender. It's not diverse in terms of body image and ethnicity, really. Not really, but it is well represented on either side of the gender balance, I think. Like, you've got to get this idea that it's just a waifu simulator game. You've got to get that out of your head, otherwise it spoils the whole thing for you.
Of the earth, along with other elements derived from Eastern traditions. Each elemental domain has a god.
Who was that? What the fuck was that?
Along with other elements derived from Eastern traditions.
What's that? Who are they and what is that? Am I tripping? You know, am I tripping? I've played a lot of Genshin Impact, but I wasn't there from the start. Am I missing something? I don't recognise them. Are you really somebody who... Right, here's a big question. Is the person who made this video really into Genshin Impact and knows more than me, therefore they've used this picture? Or are they not really into Genshin Impact and they've used the wrong picture? Somebody in chat will have to tell me one day. Someone will have to tell me, no, this is so-and-so from Genshin Impact, because I don't recognise them. I don't see what's going on here. I don't know why that picture's been used. It really doesn't seem very Genshin Impact to me.
Elemental domain has a god, or archon.
Who's that?
Presiding
Who's that?
over them, with their names along
Okay,
with
that's the Fatui. Maybe this is an old cutscene thing that I don't recognise.
each
Maybe they're Fatui.
elemental domain has a god.
Maybe that is like Little Ashada then, from a different cutscene, like with a different art style. I don't recognise that character.
Or archon, presiding over them, with their names along
But
with
that's
many
Fatui. They're Fatui, I recognise that.
others directly lifted from Ars Goetia, a pagan grimoire.
Okay, lifted from something I didn't know
Along
about.
with many others directly lifted from Ars Goetia.
Ars Goetia. Interesting.
A pagan grimoire.
Pagan
the twins'
grimoire.
names, the two possible characters a player can
They were in
choose at
one
the
of the
beginning of the
cinematics.
game,
I saw
are
this.
clever wordplay meant to represent yin and yang energies and the polarity
Yeah.
between heaven and earth. Combining different elements of ancient religions, Gnosticism,
I didn't know Paimon was... whoever that is on a camel, but I had spotted some of these references.
Man, that's a difference in the way it's designed. You know, like that's a, you know, like damn, they changed your character model up a lot.
Yeah, but I'm guessing that Paimon in Antiquity wasn't anything like actual Paimon, they just used the word Paimon. A spirit named in early Grimoires in the Lesser Key of Solomon. One of the kings of hell, more obedient to Lucifer than other kings are. That sounds awful. So is Paimon going to turn out to be a baddie? Leading us around from the abyss?
Just a bit, yeah.
and Eastern schools of thought, Genshin Impact became
It's interesting in this video, they've referenced those things, but they haven't talked about them deeply. Maybe I should learn something from this, because I will reference things and then talk about them for hours, and that's why I never get through a damn, a damn stream, a damn video. Hello, Bob. Quite the glow up for Paimon. Again, I don't know if it is a, Paimon as I recognise her, and this is a totally different thing. So, yeah, it doesn't. A devil riding a camel and the Paimon we know in Genshin Impact. The thing is, if it's a reference where you're supposed to think of it and, oh right, you're referring to the demon Paimon. Oh, interesting, I see. Then, yeah, good. Like, maybe I'm missing something by not associating them together. But it's interesting that you would use something that's so obscure, maybe, because I know a little bit about this and that, but I hadn't heard of that, and I'm not saying that I'm the... If I know it, therefore it must be known, and if I don't know it, it shouldn't be... Like, no one knows it. I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that I know a reasonable amount of stuff, and I've never heard of that. So, it would follow that you're not really supposed to, maybe not supposed to associate... Like, the things that we associate in Genshin Impact with the real world are just inspired by, aren't they? Because Genshin's a different world, a fantasy world that's supposed to just be inspired by. There's a real big question that's coming out of this that I don't think I can answer, and I'm probably not going to try any further because I've just learned that you should self-edit and just get on with it. But what is, like, when something so clearly inspired by, for example, Japanese architecture, it's a Japanese area. They've got samurai, but it's not Japan. Don't get it into your head that it's Japan, because it's not. Like, where is the line drawn where I should say, oh, because it's associated with Japan, therefore they've probably got X, Y, Z that I also associate with Japan? Or should I say none of it is associated? Like, because they've drawn the link, is it therefore everything is intrinsically linked, and therefore this Paimon is a demon, and my associations with our world should be drawn and connected? I should be looking at this Wikipedia and learning all about the spirit named in early Grimoires, in the Lesser Key of Solomon and Ars Goetia. So a lot of other things were named out of things like out of this Ars Goetia. The text is more properly called Lemegeton Clavucius Salomis, or the Little Key of Solomon, and it's like a book of demons from medieval Renaissance Europe. Heretical, bad black magic. So are we saying Paimon is of the demons and the bad black magic? Like, if the other things are in there, King Bile, Agaris, Fasago, Samiga, Marbus, Valfor, Ammon. Duke Barbatos. That's one. Barbatos. King Paimon is in there. Buer is a Genshin character. Botis, alias Person. Morax is a Genshin character. So all the Archons in Genshin I'm learning now are named after. This is what I just said. They showed me the tip of this rabbit hole, and now I've jumped all the way down it. But they're all named after demons. I don't like that, actually. It makes me feel a bit creepy. But then there are other games where, like Belial, for example, in Diablo, isn't it? Belial. Like, there's a lot of influence from stuff like this in other. Like, you might have heard some of influences from church and other folklore in other kinds of games and films, and it doesn't make you creeped out. It's like, it's just, that's this, like, you know, there's loads of media out there that's inspired by old history, isn't there? So maybe it's just like they've nicked some of the names and it seems to fit and they just move on with it. It doesn't mean that I'm playing the devil's game. Do you know what I mean? It's like so confusing to me about how connected they are just because you've used the names. But I would now stay, because you've been very clear about this is where the names are from and they all follow a pattern, that yes, it's about demonology. And it's not like in Genshin world, the characters that have these names are the Archons, are the powerful, aren't they? They're the spirit, they're different to humans, what have you. So Paimon equals devil, yeah? In the same way she is, like, but in our world we would call them devils and bad spirits like we did in that book. But maybe in their world they're not that mean. Maybe they all fucked off over there because we'd had enough of them in our world. And in so, like, because my main character in Genshin Impact, me, I've ended up in their world somehow with my twin. Shit's going down. There's this all deeper stories going on. It's very confusing to me now, but I would say you're supposed to connect these dots in a subtext level because that's what they've come from. I mean, maybe in the office they said, just give me some bullshit story because I need to sell these waifus. Or maybe they said, look, like most other people who are creating artworks, we're spending all this money, let's employ some really good story people. Maybe the really good story people say, I really care to have all this backstory and connection, and for there to, if you dig deep enough, be a way of explaining all this stuff. And maybe this is it. So I like this video, good video. I'm glad that I didn't slate it and berate it and claim that they were copying me. Genshin Impact is art beyond my wildest dreams 4 months ago. Why Genshin Impact is an artistic and technical masterpiece. Just recent.
A sampling platter for many profound concepts. What makes this game so great
They're different videos. Get over it, Scott.
is that its boundless wisdom was neatly packaged into a format that makes it fun and visually appealing. And it's easy to understand why this title became so successful in such a short amount of time.
It's really
when you
nice.
consider that these players
Like,
were also so successful in
like, that's what I'm saying. This shit, that looks really good.
Oh, it did. When I first went down there in the game, that was like, you can't exactly, this is why it's annoyed me when they said recently Genshin Impact was the first game that made me go wow because of the world. No, that happened in lots of moments, didn't it, when you played Genshin Impact? The first time you went down to Liyue, you were already deeply engrossed in the game at this point, and when you get onto that bridge and see this, yes, it's a very cool moment. It reminded me of other moments in Breath of the Wild, but this was a good moment. Wow, yes. But then that was not, like, that was one moment within the world. Like, the world is a big series of wows, so it's not fair for me. I wouldn't say that Genshin Impact, the world of Genshin Impact was a moment that made me go wow. I wouldn't say that. I'd say it's too big for that. Within it are lots of wows. So when was my last moment of wow in a game? Recently, Genshin Impact. When was my first? Oh, years and years ago. Not Genshin Impact. So I still find that disingenuous, but I agree with the concept, what he's trying to put across, which is maybe the point being made here is that you thought you'd had a wow moment in games, but you haven't seen the whole world of Genshin Impact. So hold your horses. You know, maybe there's something in that to be said there. Because certainly if you're playing World of Warcraft and then you're looking at this, there must be some sense of jealousy because this looks better. Like, it just does. Like, graphically, whatever. I'm not a big believer in graphics. I think I made that point in the art video about Genshin Impact being art beyond my wildest dreams. I think I made the point in that about graphics and gameplay, and I don't remember if I did or not, but I'll remake it now. Is obviously gameplay is more important. You can have rudimentary gameplay like Pong and people will play the game. You can have wonderful graphics and no good mechanical gameplay and no one will care. So like a graphical thing with no, like, graphics are not as important as gameplay, so I can't say, oh, World of Warcraft doesn't look as good as this. But if you're Asmongold, you've played World of Warcraft all your life, some part of you must wish that they'd, like, this was what World of Warcraft was, and that all the best things of this were in World of Warcraft, the graphical style, all sorts of other systems. You must be a little bit jealous when you see moments like this, I expect.
Just objectively, like, for the art style that they're trying to go
Maybe
with.
jealousy's wrong. Maybe I'm saying that because I was using it as a theme earlier when I was referencing my own video. So maybe jealousy's wrong. Maybe Asmongold doesn't have to feel jealous like this. So maybe I'm being wrong to poke at World of Warcraft and people who play it because it's just a different game. That's all. And I'm just being silly. Offering up ideas, trying to make a reaction video. Let's not all get hurt up, eh?
That's fucking amazing, man. That looks so good.
Such a short amount of time when you consider that these players were also faced with a unique gaming experience on top of the stunning visuals. The vast open world invites careful exploration, and the intricate storylines honestly kept me glued to my screen for longer than I'd like to admit. Yeah. In an interview by Pocket Gamer,
my plan with the game is whenever I play this shit, I'm actually going to play through the whole story. I'm going to play through the whole story, play through the whole game. I'm going to do it like I did Final Fantasy.
Toyo's president, Forrest Wei Liu.
Did he ever finish Final Fantasy? And good. I'm glad that he's going to take it with that attitude. By the time he gets to the end of the story, there will be more. And it'll be interesting to see how he reacts, how Asmongold reacts to the pace of new content. Like, again, I relate it to World of Warcraft here because he is a World of Warcraft representative in a way, isn't he? So World of Warcraft seems to drop like an expansion and then things go quiet after a bit and then they're waiting around in this null space while we're waiting for new content. Maybe a patch will happen, and like there seems to be this long space in between here is the thing and nothing, and then here is the next thing. Whereas Genshin Impact seems to be, maybe it's a little bit more drip feed, but there's this event literally every couple of weeks there's a new event. And then by the time you've got used to the idea of the content that you've been doing, got through it all, then the new thing is out. The new expansion, so to speak, the new area. Like it feels, even as a player who's played it now for months and months and come to the end of the story, right? Come to the end of the story. It feels like I'm not at the end of that by any means. And okay, I'm waiting for the next literal story chapter, but I'm not finished with content. It's not like Endgame where I'm repeating the same raid over and over again. It's not that. It's that there's still loads of content out there. So I'd be interested, getting to the end of the story is one thing, finishing the content is another. And I'd be interested, really interested to see Asmongold's response to that pacing of content. Because when he gets there, he will be like, wow, the new thing's out. Wow, like, you know, like these things will happen during his playthrough. As will anybody. If anyone starts Genshin Impact now, by the time they get to the end of the story, there will be more story. That's a guarantee.
Mentioned that the team's love for Japanese entertainment was the bedrock for creating this game. Although the vast majority of the group, comprising of more than 400 people, were of Chinese descent. Now, this is really interesting to me.
So the vast majority were Chinese, but it was Japanese culture that was embedded at the start, maybe.
Since most of the
Although I thought that a lot of the areas resembled, like the first area, Mondstadt, is Europe, isn't it? And then it's China, and then it's Japan, and then it's a sort of Asian, India, Turkish, desert, Arabia area. Next, it's going to be Fontaine, which is France, which is surprisingly close to Mondstadt, Germany, but
game scenes could easily be mistaken for authentic Ghibli movies. And overwhelming...
The game scenes could be mistaken for Ghibli movies. I mean, I have seen them, but would veer much more on the side of Breath of the Wild. It just looks so much like Breath of the Wild. It's untrue. And that's no bad thing, because I was waiting, in the same way as I was talking about that pace of content, Breath of the Wild was so wonderful and such a joy to me. And then by the time the new thing came out, I'd actually got a Switch by the time the DLC came out. And I played Breath of the Wild on the Wii U. So I've been waiting for more Breath of the Wild, for the next Breath of the Wild for a while now, as we all have. And Genshin Impact filled that hole nicely. It's not a bad thing.
Number of players also noticed the resemblance to the beloved Breath of the Wild. And Wei Liu confirmed that the cel-shaded Zelda...
Like, look at that next side by side. In fact, Genshin Impact looks better than Breath of the Wild. You can play as more characters, there's more variety in the attacks, there's more mini-games and bosses, and like Breath of the Wild pales to Genshin Impact. Breath of the Wild's the originator, the first one, the best one. Nothing like it's like Breath of the Wild is a really good film. Like zombie films is a really good example. You know, Breath of the Wild is a really good zombie film, but Genshin Impact is The Walking Dead, and it hasn't got to the 6th season yet where it's gone shit yet. It could do. It might do. At the moment, it's still really fucking good. You know what I mean? It's like Game of Thrones. It's like a series, an ongoing thing. So they're both versions of the same thing in a way, but they're different ways of dishing it out to us. And I, for one, like having it every week, every day. Like Breath of the Wild, when I've finished my film, when I finished my book, I put it down. That was a really good book, really good film. I'd like to play that ongoing. Well, now I can. I've got Genshin Impact. That's what they did, is they filled that void. So, like it or lump it, that is what it is, and I do like it, because if they didn't fill the void, I'd have just had a void.
Beloved Breath of the Wild. And Wei Liu confirmed that the cel-shaded Zelda installment was in fact a heavy inspiration for Genshin Impact.
Yeah, of course.
Players can even win a weapon called the Skyward Blade through the Wish system. However, I am here to say that Genshin Impact is a lot more than just a Breath of the Wild knockoff.
Yeah,
as it draws inspiration from various games.
I think what happened is like it
is much more than a much more than a Breath of the Wild knockoff. People have described how it started out much more like a knockoff, and then it gets more complex over time as they add and add. But I think it was always intended to be more complex. I think it's easy, if you've got a lot of money, to look at something really good like Breath of the Wild and say, do what they do well and produce me more. And if you're starting from that point, your development teams don't have to, like, they've already got a lot of questions answered for them, so already a lot of brain power is not having, like, the creative bits are not being wasted on, like, Breath of the Wild did it all for you already. You don't have to think about that, get it down. Now you've got a lot more time and space to add loads more, because you're not having to worry about the other stuff that will this or won't this work. Yes, it will. It was in Breath of the Wild. The climbing mechanic is great. You've got it sorted. Like, so it frees you up to think about these other things, and that's plus the fact that you were spending more money and making it a bigger project. Yeah, let's hear what they say, sorry.
It originally was kind of a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and then after a while it kind of grew its own legs, and it's its own thing now. It's like it might have started like that, but it's not anymore.
And game mechanics.
But I don't agree with that, because I think that that's a facile way of describing it, because I think it started out with the idea that it was always going to be much more. But at the start, what you got was seen as a Breath of the Wild knockoff, because people hadn't played it, the months hadn't gone by, the content hadn't been released, but they always planned for it to be a lot bigger than a Breath of the Wild knockoff.
That's my understanding.
Previous MiHoYo games, such as Honkai Impact 3rd. And yet, with the visuals being so heavily inspired by existing styles, Genshin Impact has still managed to carve out its own unique artistic identity. To achieve this, the studio used the beloved anime style as a stepping stone and defined the game's visual character through a plethora of cultural motifs anchored in real life. Every location of this game was carefully created to reflect real-life places. The characters, both playable and non-playable, were designed to fit within a cultural background that players all around the world can relate to.
There's no fat people in this game, so...
Yeah, there are fat people in the game. There is Shitu, who does the Jade. You know, he's a bit portly. There are a couple of fat people, but there are no fat playable characters. There are no people, like... Diversity is not just a skin tone feature, but Genshin Impact has a problem with skin tone as well. There is a real lack of diversity and representation in that aspect. And in the West, because we've gone through all these conversations about body image and stuff like that, you know, it seems like something they need to fix. Also counter that with, in Japan, in China, body image, body type is not as... there's not as many obese people, I would say, probably. You know, there are probably different conversations had in those places. But I'm definitely, you know, I'm from this Western background. I'm definitely falling on the side of let's have more representation, please. But let's not go so far as to say, well, you know, everything should be put upon a... Like, it's not... it's not free for all, celebrate everything season just because, like, socially and politically we think that's right. The game has to have its own style and ideas, but, you know, it is a bit weird that there aren't any people over a certain weight and of a certain colour. It seems a little bit weird.
I don't know how Americans can play this shit. I've never seen a single fat person in Genshin Impact. There is? Oh, okay. Alright, never mind.
I think this is a perfect time to look into the environment design of Genshin Impact. As a horrible artist myself, much of this game's appeal stems from the gorgeous scenery. I actually have a course that teaches you how to create beautiful environments like this using Unreal Engine and Blender, so make sure to check out that link.
All right, okay, cool. So this guy
when design
has, like, I love it that they've got a passion for something that they're already interested and involved in, and they're seeing this aspect of Genshin through that experienced lens. I'm experienced in playing Breath of the Wild. They're obviously more experienced in creation of game environments than me, and I love that they perceive this beauty through that lens. You know, being able to see under the hood, so to speak, and they still perceive it as good. I'm glad, because I only see the surface.
Designing the world of Genshin Impact, miHoYo's art department had two things in mind: to develop certain styles that perfectly match the essence of each faction, and making sure to communicate that aesthetic effectively. Now, Genshin Impact was built entirely on a customized version of Unity due to its extensive...
That reminds me of something they said when they were sat in the desert, I think, about communicating the feel of the desert to the players, and the sand being a very important part of their development process, and they were very proud of the sand. And it seemed silly just to say, well, the sand, you know, but it gives you that feel. Hard to explain, easy to see and understand when you're either getting that feedback from the game or not.
Multi-platform support. Two different render pipelines were put in place, which is quite a strange practice to see for a game like this. However, given the heavily stylized nature of this game, the studio saw it fit to employ two separate pipelines.
Okay.
A PBR pipeline for the environments and a cel-shaded, hand-painted pipeline for the characters.
That makes sense, right? Because, like, you want to have those characters, they need to be hot as fuck.
It makes sense because, I also think you're talking about two different things, really, aren't you? Like, you're talking about places and people, and to differentiate the two is totally fair. Like, we see the two different things. Like, one is within the other. They are separate entities within. In this sort of artwork, your artists can specialise in these ways, I think. Yeah, I think that's a good way to think about it. And interesting to know that they do it, because I obviously think that on a smaller team, it wouldn't be... Maybe art is a total coverall. You're an artist on the game, but I can see here where we're getting a division between the two, and it makes sense. It totally makes sense.
Because, like, that's what's gonna get people to spend money. Because, like, you have a new character comes out, that's what's gonna... Yeah, on God, true. Absolutely, yeah, they gotta make those characters just right.
We're going to get into both of those eventually through this video.
When there's a big war going on somewhere in the universe, that always reflects on the markets. Which makes people like me happy because we're the one making money off it.
Did they know that I just went out?
I'm the CEO of a industrial corporation.
Did they know that I went out?
The first region a player gets to explore is the Anemo Nation, which corresponds to the Wind element. The Anemo Nation resides in the city of Freedom called Mondstadt.
It's Anemo. Did you really play Genshin Impact? Does the guy really play Genshin Impact? Anemo. Anemo.
That's right.
We're going to get into both of those eventually through this video. The first region a player gets to explore is the Anemo Nation, which corresponds to the Wind element. The Anemo Nation resides in the city of Freedom called Mondstadt. In German, the
It's
name
cool because of
translates
that.
to Moon City and is heavily inspired by Germanic architecture. The half-timbered houses are reminiscing of medieval German constructions, with their similarity becoming really striking when compared to the houses of the German town Miltenberg.
Damn, that place looks fucking nuts. Holy.
There's a place in Fortnite, I can't remember what it's called now, Germantown we used to call it. As we fly in, I'd call it Germantown. I got a song, Oompa Oompa 2-0 down, Oompa Oompa Germantown, Oosh Oosh Germantown, Das Das Germantown. So yeah, Germantown.
Holy shit. And people live in there? They have like internet and shit there too, right?
Yeah, it's just Bavaria, mate.
I would always be worried if I lived in a place like this that like there wouldn't be like running water. But the reality is I bet there's probably more like conveniences and the Wi-Fi is probably better here than where I live. I don't know how that happens.
Watching an American react simply to a full city in Europe and considering it some sort of like Hobbit backward is fucking ridiculous. That is just a working normal. I mean, it looks like it might be built into the mountains a bit more. It's just as a European, that seems strange. But when I guess when I see how Asmongold's living in the flat plains of America, I might consider that to be a little different too. But yeah, it's only some houses, slightly sloping roofs.
Like Nick can go over to Norway in the middle of a fucking rainstorm and have 1080p streams, but he's downtown in Austin getting disconnected.
The city of Mondstadt was built in an oval shape in the center of a lake, which seems to have been inspired by Bern, the capital of Switzerland. In the center of Mondstadt is a giant awe-inducing cathedral, which was most likely...
It wasn't just that one place. There were quite a few places like that. It reminds me of Stockholm in Scandinavia. It's because most places like that, with ports in Europe, built cities up around them in the same, like, in similar sort of fashions. There are sort of common themes that... It's very European, I'll just say that.
Inspired by the
Well,
grand...
Scandinavia is north of Europe, I suppose. It's quite normal.
It's interesting to call it Bern because, you know, that was actually the name of the Lost Ark city of Vern in the Korean version. And Vern also has a cathedral that looks similar to this. And so maybe the Lost Ark city is also derivative of the same thing.
Oh, yeah. No, I think so. I think there's probably quite a lot of... You know what? In one way, they're saying it's a really good art idea. In another way, it's something that I critique Genshin for. Remember, you take a piece of this, a piece of that, whatever you like here, and just fuck it. You don't have to... It annoys me in this. They've got a church. Well, they don't have Jesus and God. So you don't have the Catholic style of architecture that came out of Renaissance Italy, do you? No, we do. We've got that. Why do you have nuns? Nuns for who? Oh, nuns for the Animo Archon. Right, so he's a bit like Jesus, is he? No, not like Jesus at all. But some of the ideas of Catholicism are just in your game. But they've got no real reason. Oh, we like the hats, so we just have them. You can have what you want. It's a fantasy world. But it doesn't tie together cohesively when you know that all these things have been pulled in from different areas in different ways. And they kind of, sometimes that takes you out of the immersion because you say, what's this doing here? This doesn't belong here. And then they go, oh no, it's a fantasy world. So you can have it. You can have anything. Okay, it belongs here then now. You know, it kind of spoils it in a little way. And so yeah, here we've got a cathedral, a church that, of course, things inspired from the real world, the more just like they are the real world stuff, as you saw with those clever photographs overlaid of those places, top work there. As you saw, if someone else wants to take the same inspiration, you can't prevent it. It's funny, isn't it? Because I was talking about taking inspiration at the start of this about my video. Like, it's actually funny that it ties in like this. So maybe I watched it before, which I didn't. I should have done. But yeah, taking inspiration like this, you can't avoid the fact, and this is probably what happened with me and this person, even just having the similar titles, is that we both think Genshin Impact is great art. That's a simple sentence. We both came up with the same sentence. We both said it in slightly different ways. The end. It's not that they copied my video, it's that people think similar things because things are similar. So the more you copy the real life, the more lots and lots of games are going to be able to, like, I'm thinking of now Assassin's Creed has done a Greece version and an Egypt version, and then also there will be other games that have covered that sort of ground as well. And then, like, however many representations of ideas of pyramids are in games, eventually we're going to start to see some crossover in ideas, aren't we? So when you take inspiration like this, what Genshin should have done, I think, is just pushed it away and stuff. Right, you take the thing from the real world and then you give it your spin to the point where it's no longer completely obviously the cathedral from the Western world. Right, you've spun it. Maybe the roof shape is different. Maybe we don't go for pillars. You know, maybe it changes, and so you don't have an organ at the damn back of it like you do here. Like, this is just like a one-for-one replica of what you might see in our world in an anime style, instead of reimagining why they would build their churches in this shape and why, because they've got different archons. So change the shape of the building, and then you've still got the concept, a church, a cathedral as a start point, but you've come to a different answer. Whereas here, the answer is come to because of years and years of history in our world that don't exist in their world. And to me, I then say, what? Why are the nuns here then? Why are the roofs shaped so? Why have you got a vestibule? You've come to the same answers in this world without all that history. So please explain. That's something that's a problem to me, actually, in a negative. But we're saying here it's a positive.
Cathedral
Look at
in
that. Regensburg. For the environment design itself, the render pipeline takes into account the day and night cycle, weather conditions, as well as the complexity of the environment. All throughout Tevyat, you won't find a single baked light source. All of the lights and environments are dynamic. All throughout the...
Okay, agreed, yeah. And I know that the lights turn on and off while I'm playing.
Day and
Why are
night
you using
cycle,
this?
Weather conditions, as well as the complexity of the environment.
Why are you using this? This sequence is this loading screen. You never ever walk around here in the game. It's a very weird choice of thing to use in the edit, because Asmongold is going to see this from an outsider's point of view and not understand at all what's going on here, because none of us do, because this is not even in the game. This is just the loading screen.
All throughout Tevyat, you won't find a single baked light source. All of the lights and environments are dynamic, including the local ones that contribute to both direct and indirect lighting in the proximity of the player camera. With Genshin Impact, the beauty really is in the details. The use of dynamic...
That's not an in-game... I mean, it's using in-game assets, isn't it? But Barbara never ever sits up there like that, does she? Maybe you can achieve this by sitting up there and getting your camera out. Maybe I'm wrong, but to me that looks like a cutscene thing.
Shadows all across the game enhance the three-dimensional feel of Tevyat.
Again, I'm not. This is through the prism of game designer knowing about shadows. I just take it for granted that the shadows are good, because I started playing it on a PlayStation, then I moved on to a PC, and damn it, the PC makes it look good. You know, I'm at that level. So I've got an i9 or whatever I've got, and an RTX GeForce. I'm not expert enough to tell you any more than it looks damn good.
When players walk under a tree, the leaves cast shadows onto their bodies. Volumetric fog of different densities in certain regions or time of day periods come into contact with the local lighting, enriching the atmosphere and creating a unique experience at each part of the day.
Asmongold's on his face, right? Bless him. I know he's thinking, like, I might be wrong, but I'm thinking, in his heart, he's thinking, World of Warcraft should have all this. This anime game's got all this. World of Warcraft should have this.
Volumetric fog of different densities in certain regions or time of day periods come into contact with the local lighting, enriching the atmosphere and creating a unique experience at each part of the day in each different location.
That's cool.
Speaking of volumetrics, I'd love to take a second to point out Genshin Impact's incredible cloud volumetric system. Typically, games will use 2D images of clouds in the background to fake them.
Yeah, I don't know. Can we think of a game like that? That just, you know, puts some fucking white shit up in the air and they say, hey, that's a cloud.
But Genshin Impact has physical, dynamic clouds that move, shift forms, and react to light, casting shadows on the ground below. I'll be diving into these techniques in more detail in my new upcoming series, Game Ready.
Can you get on top of that mountain?
Objects blocking the sun or moonlight create these beautiful
now,
god ray effects, coupled with the...
That's a big one, Asmongold. Yes. He says, can you get on top of that mountain? Yes. Do you know what he's saying there is because he knows that it's an important thing in game design that it's like foreshadowing of adventure. You show something in the distance and it's not just a background. You can actually go up there and walk on top of it. Big moment in things like Skyrim. Asmongold is referencing a sort of flag in the map moment for game design and expansive game worlds and good game design. Yes, Asmongold, you certainly can go on top of that mountain, and by God you do.
Objects blocking the sun or moonlight create these beautiful god ray effects, coupled with the expert terrain blending.
But it's not just that mountain. You can look north, south, east, west. There's a point in Leeway where you can see the adventure you've come from, all the things, the mountain, all that. You can see on into the future where you're going to go. Pyramids in the distance. It's absolutely incredible. That was a wow moment. The world of Genshin Impact there was a wow moment for me. Standing on that, seeing that. It's not just the draw distance. It's that, like, you see this thing in the distance. You think, can I go and do that? And you think, oh, hang on. And you look back and say, well, I've done all that. So absolutely, I can.
And post-effect shaders such as bloom and color remapping, the end result is stunning imagery that could trick most eyes into believing that this scene is actually 2D artwork.
Okay, and now I'm starting to accept what they said at the start. You know, this was my first moment that I got a wow from a game, the world of Genshin Impact. They meant a different thing to me, didn't they? What I thought they meant was the discovery moments, the standing that they're talking about, knowing under the hood what's going on when the light is changing. Like being in an environment and going, oh wow, look at these shadows. Like to them, the whole world of Genshin Impact was wow. Like in a different way to me walking through the environment, seeing Leeway for the first time. Thinking, because to me I thought they meant expanse, size, like a bit like when you go on Grand Theft Auto and the first time you see the big map and you drive around the city, you go, wow, this is huge, wow moment, it's massive. Like, you know, in like they referenced in Fallout, walking out of the vault. They referenced it, so fair enough. I took this as a cue. Fallout, walking out of the vault and seeing the whole world, and you know it being big. Breath of the Wild, coming out of that at the very start and on the top, and it being big. You know, these senses, the sense of scale. I was going to say, and I did say that you don't really get the sense of the full scale till you play through the game a lot. So it's a bit unfair to say that's a wow moment. But I would say that if you're just going into a world and then you're impressed by the rendering of the grass and the shadows and all this other stuff that I wasn't really taking in fully as I just playing it on the PlayStation for the first time, then maybe the world of Genshin Impact was a wow moment for you. And who am I to say it wasn't? Everyone that thinks I'm a chuffer has already fucked off and left. There I am retracting my first opinion, maybe. I think that's okay, isn't it? For me to have different feelings and thoughts while I watch things. Yeah, I think that's okay. Oh, no, not another. My thought now is not another one of your chuffing adverts, you chuffer. You chuffer.
Yeah, I think that looks good. It looks great.
It does look good.
Now, as we go past the walls of Mondstadt, we're met with high mountains and green pastures spreading for miles, which makes the outer area look a lot like the Mondsee area of Austria, which, for record, is also known as Moon Lake. It's a fun little detail.
That's a nice place. I like to live in a...
I didn't know that. I had it pegged as a very quick transition from Europe to China, but yeah.
Place like this, man. Like, I used to...
I had the mountains of Leeway that you first walked through. I had them as Tibet.
Live in a place with like woods and shit, and now I live in a place with like apartments and shit. It sucks.
Asmongold's referring to the fact that people moved in around him and cut down all the woods, but in places like this in Europe, you're not allowed to cut down all the woods, so it ain't going to get much bigger than that, mate.
I found.
And Asmon, you're a millionaire. Get yourself a place out there. Just get yourself a little flat out there. Go and spend 6 months there, or 6 weeks, or whatever the fuck it is. Get out there and have a look at it, mate. Have a try. You can always come back and stream from your room. It's not going to go anywhere. You don't have to sell your house. You're a millionaire. Just go and have a few Airbnb trips out. Stream from somewhere different. I'd love to see you travel the world. And, you know, out of all the people in the world that I think deserve it, Asmongold, I think he deserves it. Touch grass. Not in a mean way, but, you know, go on a world tour. Go and, even if it's just, I've bought myself an Airbnb out here for a 6-week period. In that, even if it's like... Listen, I wish, please, I'm going to cut this and put it on the internet. Asmongold, please, listen to this. Please, hear me, Asmongold. Of all the people, right, that we watch on Twitch and all that, I think you deserve more than anyone a bit of a break. Even if it's not a break, even if you still make content, stream from this Airbnb or whatever, you can take your show on the road so easily. It's you and a computer and a camera. So get yourself the Airbnb out there by that lake there, that one in Austria. Go on a holiday. Take some time to walk around it and feel it. You said you used to live in some place with some trees, and now
look a lot like the...
That's a nice place. I like to live in a place like this, man.
I'd like to live in a place like that, he said. Even if it's just for a 6-week holiday or a 2-week holiday, just go and do it, Asmon. Out of all the people on the internet that can afford it, you can. You've done the graft. You've done the hard work. You've got some reward there. I'm not saying blow it all on Hogan's. You know, I'm not saying blow all the money. I'm just saying... spend some of it, do it. I don't begrudge you. I'd be proud of you, and as someone who views your content and thinks you're a good content creator, you know. I'd love to see you on the journey. I'd love to see your perspective on, you know, what this place is like on a little walk with your phone, and you know, maybe take a couple of friends and get them to record you on the walks, or you know, maybe put the cameras down for a couple of days and just chill. But whatever, I'd love to see you do it. Out of all the people on the internet, you've got the power, and you deserve it.
Like, I used to live in a place with like woods and shit, and now I live in a place with like apartments and shit.
Asmongold World Tour, man, and then come back to your house.
This sucks.
You know.
I found. Special attention was given to the grass of
Yeah, I
Genshin
didn't
Impact
move.
in order to achieve the
Other
painterly
people
look
moved.
of the terrain.
To
The
me.
studio modeled and textured a variety of grass concept motifs. These were then given randomized densities, size, orientations, and multiple sets of grass LODs were
Damn,
grouped
that's a
together,
cat.
and simplified versions were prepared for each set to keep
I didn't know they did all that work on the grass. I just thought they ripped it off Breath of the Wild, but there you go.
things nice and optimized. Cliffs and mountains also occupy a big portion of most scenes in this game.
Yeah, it
to
was
maintain
cool.
a stylized, consistent look, the studio tried to retain some of the brushstroke effects. The texture applied to rocks comprised 8 different layers, and each of them had 3 different versions to account for detailed differences seen at specific distances.
Oh my.
This is what you can do when you throw money at the problem, and don't just say, well, you know, the team's going to be this size and therefore it's going to take this long. Well, throw an extra 6 or 7 people in the team then. Now show me what you can do. This is what you do when you throw money at it, and it is extraordinary, because I tell you what, it also includes the level of computer power, the cutting edge computer technology in terms of software, people who can code their own software. Like, when you throw that into the mix, then you like, oh wow, is damn right. And it should do. That's what we should be looking at the top end of video games these days. Of course, I love indie games, and I love the fact that you can just create something on your own and it can be really good and doesn't have to have all this power and money thrown at it. But at the top end, like I was saying about films earlier, like, we should have these powerhouse. Like, if a company's making loads and loads of money, throw loads of it at the development, please. Blizzard should have taken note of this and should be, you know, like many other game companies who've made a lot of money over the years, should be thinking less about clever, tricky monetization tactics, because Genshin gets tired with that brush as well. Don't forget the gacha thing, but making it really, really good, throwing the power and the money at it, spending the time in terms of man hours, not spending the time weeks and weeks and weeks, but let's condense that number of weeks by doubling the team. You know, that's a good way to look at it.
Hand-painted layers are actually fully procedural and use a lot of cool color blurring and blending techniques to get the desired look. I go over this technique extensively in my stylized texturing course, and I'll leave a link
Cool. Procedural, so it takes less time and work, but someone coded it.
in the description for that one too.
That's
Genshin
nice.
Impact features hundreds of different models of trees, bushes, and other foliage. The team had to employ several shading tricks to make them blend seamlessly into the environment while retaining some of the details. They used
I would say that's kind of impressive how they have. I'm gonna just go back real quick. Well, you got Mr. Squirrel here, and his the shadow is on each individual blade of grass.
Yep.
Isn't that nuts? Wow, it's not. No, it's not a cat, guys. Come on, what are y'all, stupid?
They use spherical models for the leaves, along with a technique relying on the angle of the player's camera to clip individual leaves out of the render.
Damn.
The specular and shadows between the leaves were then weakened, and a minimal level of lighting was set to prevent the shadows from looking too dark, which is essential in this painterly Ghibli style. If you look closely enough at the trees, you'll
That's
also
really
notice some
interesting. I take it for granted. That it has a really cohesive style and it feels right. It's something I talk about when I'm playing the game. But understanding why it's not actually true to life, that it's deliberately stylized in certain subtle areas. It's obvious when you see the shape of someone's face and eyes because they're a cartoon face, but when it's a tree or, you know, color and tone, then it's different. And it's nice to know that level of depth and detail is, again, through the lens of somebody who understands those things, is in there. And it fills me with good confidence that if you have different lenses and you look at Genshin through different lenses, you find that there is a lot of quality in there on all different levels. And the fewer stones you leave unturned, like this comes from someone now talking, I'm talking now in general terms, and whatever you're doing, the fewer stones, I'm wearing scruffy clothes, should be smartly dressed like past Scotty was on this video. Should be more smartly dressed like past Scotty was on that video. But when you leave fewer stones unturned and care about more details, then you get much, much better stuff. And it might be that not everyone will see the difference in the tone in the trees and understand why. Some people might just think it's good quality. Some people might never look at the trees and it just goes over their head completely. But as long as there is always somebody there that will appreciate it, and as long as you can find that detail and polish it up and make it good, doing so will always make for a better thing. And then, like I said, I might not spot half of these things, but the things I do spot reassure me that everything else is good as well. When you start to dig, you find gold.
Surface scattering on the leaves of the trees.
And like, look at her boobs too. I didn't notice the leaves at all, but look at this.
If you look closely enough at the trees, you'll also notice some subsurface scattering on the leaves of the trees.
Bro, there's like more physics in like one of these characters' boobs than there is in like all of a World of Warcraft raid.
Mimicking an effect we see in real life,
like the whole
where
thing.
light creates a rim effect on the edges of leaves if sunlight shines through at the right angle. If you venture further into the wilderness on a mercantile route, you'll soon find yourself before a natural landmark called the Stone Gate. From here, the scenery gradually shifts, and the architecture, along with the path, slowly reveals the motifs of a new region, Liyue. Governed by the god of Geo, an element corresponding to Earth, the nation of Liyue resides in a very lively commercial harbor. This is one of my favorite environments in the entire game.
I'm starting to read, the person who made this video that I'm being introduced to through Asmongold, Stylized Nation. I'm starting to really like their tone and their storytelling and their language and their pace. I think they're really good. Starting to really like them.
The texture of the city was heavily inspired by ancient China, featuring warm color palettes, clay shingled rooftops, and stilted houses. For a team of Chinese developers, it was paramount to bring Liyue to a level of perfection, as to reflect the gentle yet imposing beauty of their own hometowns. Seas of reeds embellish the terrain close to bodies of water, dancing with each gentle breeze. Inspired by the delicate balance of content and empty space which characterizes Chinese Shanshe landscape paintings, the team built an array of peaks and stone forests as a backdrop.
Again, I like the fact that they know about these landscape paintings, which I didn't know about, but it's definitely got this depth in it. They've done a really good job. I remember it. I was there, Liyue, 10 out of 10, one of my favourite places in video games, and they have done an incredible job on it. I would go there just to hang out. I wish they would make a theme park of it. It's brilliant.
For prominent landmarks.
Okay.
The soothing scenery brought forward the name of the first piece of architecture we see in Liyue, the Wangshu Inn. Its design drew from the Wankong Temple, built into a cliff near Mount Heng in China. The environment art team for MiHoYo mentioned how important it was for them to represent Chinese character.
I'm guessing I wasn't around for all of this. I wasn't around. I wasn't into Genshin Impact when they first kicked off, but they do all these. They're very like Nintendo Directs. They're very good at relaying information to the community. So they make these videos where the developers and designers themselves literally tell you about what they've been working on. Like, so I knew about the sand in the desert because they told me in a direct they made a video with the developers telling us what they've been working on. So I'm guessing he's getting some of that information direct from there, and it's absolutely damn fact. And again, 10 out of 10. I like bringing in these details. It's a good video and it's an interesting angle, and I'm learning a lot. It's brilliant.
Characteristics in front of a global player base. To achieve this, they compare.
Yeah, that's the thing, is like you don't really see a lot of that. That's why I'm excited to see that Wukong game, because like obviously Dragon Ball Z is based off of that, so like you kind of have an idea of it, but I feel like it's like kind of underrepresented as like as a mythology that like people are aware of around here in the U.S. at least.
Various landmarks and pieces of Chinese culture, and finally selected the area of Zhangjiajie as one of the main sources of inspiration.
That's so
I am
badass.
so sorry for butchering all of these Chinese words.
Yeah, I couldn't do any better.
Version 2.0 brought players the third large-scale region open to exploration. Centered around the element Electro, the theme for Inazuma was Eternity, a beautiful contrast to the short lifespan of Lightning. Inspired by Japan, the region is located in the easternmost part of Teviat, in a group of islands accessible only via the ocean. The vast landscape is dotted with painterly sakura blossoms, and high mountain peaks preside over the backdrop. Grand Narukami Shrine, the region's largest, closely resembles traditional Japanese places of worship. players get to walk through imposing torii gates and cleanse their hands on purification troughs. Lion-like statues resembling Japanese komainu act like shrine guardians, and fan, lotus, and cherry blossom imagery can be found all throughout Inazuma. The region's very name comes from Inadzuma, which means lightning in Japanese. These elements
done their homework, know what they're talking about. Really good introduction to Inazuma. Asmongold looks like he's totally sold on it. I mean, Inazuma is damn cool. This is all 100, 10 out of 10. Really happy with all this. All I've got to add is that I'm happy with it.
elements blend beautifully with an encompassing anime art style, creating an unique, almost austere atmosphere. MiHoYo put a lot of effort into making Inazuma a dream world for any anime fan out there, and I really believe they nailed it. Genshin Impact managed to beautifully balance the heavily stylized look with real-world architectural influences, but there's another layer to the design of Teviat that makes the game environments truly unique. The 7 elements serve multiple purposes for the game mechanics, but they also influence the design quite heavily as well. Affiliation to the elements is present in every design choice, from the intricate costume design to VFX to the architecture itself. Mondstadt, the city of wind that we talked about earlier, is built on many different elevation levels with plenty of staircases, allowing its inhabitants...
Isn't there like one of the characters that like her lore is that a monster tried to eat her, but her ass was so fat that the monster choked to death and it died, and she escaped?
I think I've heard that, but I think it wasn't it. The hot chef, the teddy bear. I can't remember actually.
Yeah. So that's the kind of game.
Was it the Coco Goat?
Yeah.
It's not a big feature of the game.
Holy moly, that's a great plot. I
You're
thought
missing
so
the
too.
point about the stairs.
to glide from one wall to the other. The Anemo emblem of wind can be
Anemo.
seen on many items, including the crest of the Knights of Favonius, the city's protecting chapter. The elements influence everything, from unique talents to the appearance of the characters, even their personality. In most cultures, water symbolized the body, thus emotions. Hydro, or water characters in Genshin Impact, were designed to look soft, quiet, and empathetic.
Maybe. If it's a fact, it's a fact. I'll take it on board. I don't know where, again, I've not been shown the references here. It might just be that this is a theory. But, okay, maybe. I don't, like, there's two things stuck together there. There's that water means the body, and that it's also soft and thing. I don't know about this. I'll just say I don't know. Like, my wet characters like Candice and sword-wielding Wet Boy don't seem too soft to me, but...
They feature big, bright eyes and soft facial expressions.
That's smart.
That's
Their
everyone.
animations are graceful and flowy.
And see how they do this?
and-
Like, she doesn't really have cat ears, but if you want to imagine it, you can.
No, mate, some of them have actually got cat ears.
That's a smart little subtle thing that they put in the game.
Soft facial expressions. Their animations are graceful and flowy. Pyros, on the other hand, look passionate and determined, and are a little more spicy with their personalities. To solve the challenging issue of several cultural influences and references all mixed together, MiHoYo used the elemental system to bring everything together into a single cohesive world.
That's interesting.
The 7
Yeah.
elements used feel distinct enough for the player to feel compelled to keep exploring, but they are similar enough to make Teviat into something original.
Don't really see what the point was there about how it brought together all the different random influences, because you've got elements and elements work together. I don't really know how to react to that. But they said it, not me.
Character design. All right.
Okay.
Character design is the bread and butter of Genshin Impact. As a
It
free-to-play
sure
game
is.
of such quality, Genshin Impact
Mainly
relies
the
on
bread.
the gacha system to turn a profit.
Yep.
The characters are the most desired type of content in the game, and much of the storytelling revolves around them.
I mean, you can get all funny about it like Asmon did then, but you can also realise that in Fortnite, skins are really the money of the game, aren't they? Everyone's buying those skins, and like it does seem a bit silly to spend money to dress up differently in a computer game. Like here, we're not. It's about owning these sexy doll women, isn't it, for some people? But for other people, it's about the talents and attack value and whatever they bring. For others like me, it's about actually the character of the person, whether they're like, you know, I vibe with the character and whether they're a good person or a chuffer. Lots of different reasons to want to have something in a video game, but they're very disparaging of just this whole concept, aren't they? As I was, I suppose, when I first started Genshin Impact, the gacha system and rolling for characters was like a big thing. But
in addition, perfecting their appearance was the key element in order to achieve the desired anime style.
Oh, that's absolutely true. Like, I don't know how many times, like, I ever make a comment. Like, I said, this is on Twitter. I went and I said, where's Twitter? I see if I find you guys what this is. I don't know where it is. Anyway, I said anybody who had Makima as a profile picture is a simp. Everybody knows that's true. Right? I mean, it's not any dude that has her as a profile is a fucking simp. And I remember there were some fucking Genshin Impact profile pictures that took fucking great offense to this. And that's how much people like the characters, though, is they have this, like, this their profile picture, that this is who they are.
But we're blurring the lines a bit, because I think for some people, it's all about that waifu thing. But for others, it's like their favourite characters in video games. And if somebody likes someone in Star Wars, they're a character in Star Wars. Like, these happen to be in an anime style, so if you're really into, and there are, like, I'd pick on the children, I think is a good example, like Sayu, Klee, like, they're really cool, fun characters. My sister for Christmas bought me some Genshin Impact stickers here. I've actually got them here, Genshin Impact stickers. I might do a video with them. This one's got Chi-Chi on it. Like, Chi-Chi's a little girl, but she's a zombie and all that. It's a cool sticker. Like, there are cool characters that you like. Like, it doesn't mean that there's Paimon, the demon devil. It doesn't mean that it's awful, does it? In fact, it means that they've done a really good job, that people care about the characters that much that they might want to use them as their profile pictures. Because some people have Family Guy as their profile picture, but you don't diss them, do you, for this exact reason? Like, maybe it's a different reason they're choosing that profile picture. Because in Family Guy, they just like comedy, but here they want to have sex with things off of Genshin Impact. Maybe. Or maybe some people just like the characters, like they do with Family Guy.
Special attention was given to the shaders of the characters to ensure an authentic anime look. They hand-painted shadow masks specifically for the face, which they can later adjust automatically based on the direction of light. The position of the shadow can be artificially set based on the material settings, light intensity.
I mean, this is true. The characters do all look really good. They spend a lot of time developing and designing them, and so they should. They're the main characters in their video game that they spend millions of dollars on. So yes, and 100 yes. This is all good.
And even mesh curvature. The color in the darkest areas can also be controlled by the color of the environment and at the artist's preference. As a result, the team spent copious amounts of time perfecting the concepts and making sure that they not only fit within the world, but also revealed critical details about the nature of the game. Look how cool she is. Each character features a complex set of past, present, and future interactions with the world of Teyvat. Each character has unique features and animations that distinguish them from the other characters. It is these core features that the team uses as guiding principles for the character design. In an installment of their developer notes series, MiHoYo revealed much of their thought process behind the creation of a character named Xiao. They drew inspiration from folk legends and religious stories and blended influences from Taoist deities, ancient Chinese spirits, Buddhist guardians, and mythological creatures. This result was a rich character with a unique set of values, drives, and personality traits.
It's actually interesting to me that you have this backstory of the world, and then within it, you're just going to bring in a character. They're going to have a bit of this, a bit of this, a bit of this, and then they'll force him to just work in Genshin Impact. It feels like if you don't say too much about the real lore and history, you can get away with quite a lot, because it feels a bit rich to be taking into like lots of different things, all different. So he's not quite this, and he's not quite that, and he's not quite that, but he is this, and he is that, and it's just like you can kind of have what you want. Chocolate box stuff, isn't it? Take your pick out. Absolutely have your pick, do what you like, and you get away with it all because it's fantasy world. There is a bit of that, and I find that a little bit easy, a little bit obvious, like, oh well, you know, you can't critique it because it's not real, but we are definitely sticking to an influence from a real world influence, but not to the point where you can hold us accountable to that influence and say these things are now inconsistent. There's no inconsistencies here, it's just whatever we want. So ultimately, we're going to design the coolest character possible, and if it has to just have some way of being shoehorned in, we'll just do the shoehorning. because we'd rather have the coolest character possible. But on the plus side to this, you get the coolest character possible, so that's okay as well, as long as it's not too shoehorned in, you know, as long as it kind of fits. And like I said, they're vague enough to allow everything to kind of fit, so that's fine.
His outfit reflects a young, competent warrior that moves swiftly like the wind, which is his corresponding element. His accessories are all...
I'm going to be really interested to see how Asmongold reacts to this, because now we're seeing a male character and he's been described as a warrior, and that's something that Asmongold identifies with. So we've already seen people swinging swords and weapons around. Let's see how Asmongold responds.
all rooted in ancient Chinese tradition.
Is there like any character in Genshin Impact that's just like a big, hairy, muscly man?
See, in my mind, what was I saying about warriors? Asmongold has equated being a warrior with big, hairy, muscly man in some way, like the Conan Barbarian archetypal warrior. But he himself, Asmongold, is not a big, muscly man. Maybe you don't need to be a big, hairy, muscly man to embody the characteristics of a warrior these days, but it is an interesting argument and a concept. You know, going back to things like Street Fighter 2, Zangief, Chun-Li, Eddie Honda, Dalsim, contrasting body type, shapes, styles, places all over the world, maybe a little bit stereotypical in some ways, but in other ways it would be nice to see some varied body types, and it would really work for a game like Genshin Impact to have different attack styles attached to those differing. So yeah, no, there is no great big hulking. The biggest chuffer you've got is probably Zhongli.
No. Okay.
But Zhongli and his geo effect are supposed to be kind of like solid and tough like that. Plus the Claymore characters are very much that archetypal warrior stance. And then on top of that, some of the baddies maybe take up this position. You know, there are some enemies in there that you might say to yourself, Azaha, Dada, or whatever, you know, is very much an enemy of that ilk. But yeah, we don't have the hero in that style.
So they have fat people, but they don't have... Yeah, all right. That's... I see how it is. Yeah, only... Oh, yeah, only NPCs. Okay, I got it. Not yet? Yeah, they need to add one of those.
The mask he wears in combat draws from Chinese exorcism masks. He wears
True, there are some NPCs that are quite truffers as well, aren't they? Yeah.
a Vajra, if I'm saying that right, at the neck and censer at the waist, two items ritualistically used to fight evil. Another great example of character design is Zhongli, the current vessel of the geogod Morax. He features a long ponytail, a deeply rooted Chinese symbol of social status.
Okay.
He has the scales on either side of his robe, which represent the emperor's power and adaptability. His design contains a lot of patterning, references to the 12 symbols of sovereignty introduced in the Zhao dynasty,
Jesus, they put a
exclusively
lot
worn
into
by
this.
the emperor. Barring a
And
few
those
characters,
animations,
Genshin
those, you see, now what Asmongold doesn't realise, and I wouldn't have realised, or anyone shouldn't, without prior knowledge, because it's the way it's cut here as well, though. Is
He
like,
has the
it looks like you're watching a cutscene.
scales on either side of his robe, which
That's
represents the
cutscene.
emperor's power and adaptability. His design contains a lot of patterning, references to the emperor. Barring characters, Genshin's character design rarely features actual armor,
This-
despite all playable
This is actually playable. Like when you do your move, it goes through the animation in game.
characters being fighters. The focus
Not that.
on the design
wonder
leans
why.
more on the visual appeal, generally few
Shit.
character. It has the scale
When was
contains
it?
Jesus, they put a
exclusively
lot
worn
into
by
this.
That bit, that moment with the thing coming down, you actually see that in game while you're playing when you press the move. So that feeling of power, that feeling of hugeness, big chunky, you know, when you do the big moves, you get that feeling when you see the animation go off. I'm trying to think of the ones that I have more regularly on my characters now. Chi-Chi, Fortune Preservers. Fortune Preservers. Like when when these things happen, you're like, wow, yeah, bang, crash. Like you do get that, and when you create the big swirls and stuff, you do get these big power moments. Worth thinking about.
the emperor. Barring
Holy
a few
shit.
characters, Genshin's character design rarely features actual armor, despite all playable characters being fighters. The focus on the design
wonder
leans
why.
more on the visual appeal rather than practical considerations.
Yeah, I
Most
bet
outfits
that's
revolve
true.
around predominant
In a way, I get the feeling that we're almost like the closest thing I could relate it to in Western culture would be a collection of superheroes where they have their superhero costume. They're dressed like Zhongli, they're dressed like Spider-Man, they're dressed like whoever, and that's how they dress. And yeah, it might not be the most resilient costume, but like She-Ra dresses like She-Ra, so just deal with it, and it always makes me laugh because most of the NPCs aren't dressed in this elaborate fashion, but our main protagonists and all our characters, I mean, some of them are quite important chuffers, and they've all got really distinctive clothes, and then everyone else is up for just sort of bland, similar clothing as everyone else. And we have got some kind of super tailor that's outfitting all these archons. I don't know where they find the you know, who's designing that. They're not just buying them from the normal clothes shops. Who's designing all these clothes?
Color, which generally signifies the element associated with that character. That color is then paired with shades of white or black, then a few splashes of accent color are added for more visual interest. The accessories are what sets most of their designs apart. These accessories mostly fit within a certain theme related to their nationality.
I'm going to say yes and no, but also I'm going to say that most characters seem to have a cohesive dress sense based on their character, you know, the depth of their character, the stories, the backstories. It's not just this one's from China, therefore we're gonna have some Chinese bits on them. There's a I'm just gonna say what I said, and I think it makes sense.
Mondstadt characters have more dagger-like triangular shapes as embellishments with more belts. In contrast, the clothing of Liu Wei features plenty of Chinese knotting, thick cords, and tassels. Each elemental affiliation is also reflect Chinese knot embellishments with more belts. In contrast, the clothing of Liu Wei,
and that's Inazuma. So again, there's three things that anyone who plays Genshin Impact wouldn't make that mistake. Maybe it's just your editors making a mistake. But if you're your own editor and you're saying Liu Wei over a picture of Inazuma, or maybe I'm tripping here. Am I wrong?
Features plenty of Chinese knotting, thick cords.
You tell me, Yoima, Inazuma, or Liu Wei? Inazuma.
And tassels. Each elemental affiliation is also reflected in the character's movements. Wind characters feature...
That's a water character.
Quick movements that end in a slow, controlled manner.
That's a pyro character.
They are swift as the wind, but retain their gracefulness.
Maybe it's just you don't have to say maybe these aren't examples of those things. They're just some stuff for the edit, but I'm picking up on that and saying it's right. Just being pedantic, sorry.
With every attack.
That's impressive.
Geo or Earth characters.
That's a Geo character.
I mean, you gotta admit, they put a lot of fucking thought into this.
Oh yeah, they have. And
I didn't know it was this deep at all.
Oh, it is, yeah.
Oh my god.
It's a good game.
Zhongli feature quick, imposing moves. Their power can be felt through the steady way that they
wonder people waste their paycheck on...
I think he's getting this slightly wrong, though, because it's not just that, a Geo character features quick moves. That's not exactly the case. Some of my moves from Geo characters are slower sometimes. They're big. I think of them as monolithic moves. Big, stone, heavy. We're looking at Ashada here as a representation of that, actually, in pyro form. But that's a combination between the Geo and the pyro, and you can see it creates that volcanic. You can see that on screen. It's obvious to understand, so that's also good. But I don't see my Geo characters as being that quick. What I would say is that different characters have different attack styles based on their weapon, and not only have you got a range of characters from different places, you've got a range of elemental styles, but you've also got a range of weaponry. So a character is either a little sword, a big claymore, a polearm, a catalyst magic user, or a bow, and those different weapons respond and operate differently, different speeds. Like smaller swords attack quicker, polearms hit differently to claymores, and the bow is clearly a ranged weapon. So it does matter about what element they are, but bows are going to behave like bows whether they're electro, animo, hydro, or cryo. They're still going to behave like bows, whereas there might be a nuance between those elements and the different bows within those elements. That's quite a nuance. The bigger nuance in attack style is which weapon you use, and therefore paired up with which weapon and which element. So you're either like a hydro bow or an electro sword. Those sort of combinations are bigger than if I'm an electro, I might move slightly quicker than a Geo.
It's almost like that they stay grounded. In order to further distinguish each character, the developers gave them unique abilities, which come with their own visual effects. These are heavily influenced by their corresponding element, but they retain some individuality and reflect some of the character's backstory. Razor, for example, was presented...
Yes and yes. I wouldn't say they retain some individuality. I'd say they are all completely individual, and they do a really good job of making everyone's individual moveset feel completely individual. Yeah, I'm a Claymore character, and so is Razor, and so is... Razor is a good example if you compare the example to Doritos, because Razor's a Claymore character, and when you pop his big elemental attack, he goes, "Rah," and you get that big thing above you, and then you go fast and you smash in and you smash and you're going fast, with the added benefit of this big shadowy thing above you that also goes fast and lots of smashes. But with Dori, when you do her big elemental reaction, it's a totally different story. She pops off this big electric thing which stands as a totem and zaps people in an area of effect and heals you. Like, your special moves are so diverse and varied that, yeah, you've both got a Claymore and you both swing and attack in a sort of steady, big, lumpy way. But when you do your specials, very different utility for the group. And you can be a healer or a damage dealer or some kind of support. There's a lot of nuance in that as well.
As an orphan who was raised by wolves. As a result, his
this
elemental
is all right.
burst in
Yeah, I played
VFX
this
shows
character.
a wolf spirit.
And see immediately Asmongold taken to the lad with the big sword. And yeah, I see what you're saying here. His wolf attack, like with his big claw. Yeah, all the attacks are designed into the character's story, really. They fit with the characters. It's not just like, we've got to give this guy an attack, let's give him a fireball. It's that, what would this character do and why and how does it fit with their character? That's why the characters are so good. And that's why I like, rather than just saying, oh, I want this waifu because I think they look sexy, I like different characters in Genshin Impact for their characters and their attack styles and how they fit with my feelings about what I like to play like. I like characters that do certain things, that have certain attack styles, and also that are not dickheads. Do you know what I mean? I like characters that are cool. So when you combine those things, then you've got characters that I think are really good. So, yeah.
What's a girl?
Barbara,
Oh.
one of my favorite characters.
She's not a
Her
girl.
ability
Razor's
shows
not a
a
girl.
colorful burst of magical notes, telling of her habit of humming all over Mondstadt. All of
It's a
these
guy?
complex
Okay.
elements of culture.
Barbara's used maybe by a lot of characters, and it's a good contrast there, but I'd use some of the more modern characters and show off some of the more cooler effects, because it would really show off the point you're making much, much better, because there are some damn cool effects.
Never mind.
Inspired
Too good.
design and technical art prowess are all perfectly blended together to create one cohesive, beautiful piece of art.
That's completely true. That's the gist of what I said in my video, you chuffer. It overall is really good, but then I can't claim copyright on that.
So yeah,
Man.
Genshin
Holy
Impact's pretty
shit.
cool.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to say, I mean, that's impressive. They put that much work into it. I didn't even really know that it was that deep. I thought
And their video is better than my video because they put more work into it to show where the work had been done and why the art is better. I just said, as a consumer, it feels this way. But they said, oh, did you think it feels this way? This is why. So they've actually superseded and done better than my video. So have that. I think they've done a really good job there. Stylized Nation. That was a really good job. Really good video. I'm interested to see what Asmongold's final 2 minutes of reaction are to that.
that again, it was just a Breath of the Wild knockoff, and like the style was just because it was easy to make. I didn't know it was this much. Oh my god. Oh my god.
It's interesting because I would say it would be nicer for him to get that feeling by playing the game and saying to us, oh wait, I didn't realise this. Now he's going in with his eyes more open. Maybe that's a good thing, maybe it's not. Maybe it would have been better for him to be surprised, nay stunned, by the quality of the game when he actually got into it.
That is just crazy. They didn't have a bald playable character yet, though? Yeah, of course not. Like, most of the people that play this game are kids, man. They don't want to have a bald guy in the game. That reminds them of their dad. Like, they don't want their dad in their game. Like, they play the game to get away
Some people do want daddy in the game.
from their dad. Okay, dad, leave me the fuck alone. I'm trying to play my game. Like, get the fuck away from me. Like, stop. Like, I'm not going to take out the garbage. Yeah, of course that's it. Yeah, 100%. This is a kid's game. A lot of young people play Genshin Impact. I think so. Obviously, like, it's not like, oh...
Okay, this is a funny thing. Like Fortnite, maybe Roblox is a kid's game, maybe Roblox. But, you know, Fortnite, Minecraft onwards, we're gamers. Okay, I'm an adult now. And when I was a kid, I was playing the games that were available to me then. As an adult, I'm playing the games that are available to me now. Whatever's kind of like the best, most latest game. Back then I was playing it, now I'm playing it. Now I'm an adult, I'm a gamer still. There are kids now getting into gaming at the age of 8, 10, 12, whatever. What do they want to play? Well, whatever's the top league, best game of the day. They don't want to have to start on the old NES, the old PlayStation 1, and work their way through it. They just want to play what's good right now. And if it's Fortnite, I'm an adult, I play some Fortnite, kids play some Fortnite. Like there are middle ground games where everyone just wants to play whatever's good. You know, if something's popping off, we all want to play it. Kids, adults, whoever, gamers. And Genshin very much can hit that note as well, because it doesn't, you know, it doesn't put people off. It doesn't have too many adult themes that you know, must be over 18 and this and that. And it doesn't have that interactivity of an MMO, so it's kind of safe. Kids can go on there and they're not going to be predated on by people in the co-op, hopefully. You know, it's got a lot of good for it. A lot of reasons why it covers a broad church in that way. And I think it's surprising for Asmongold to say, well, this is a game, like some games are designed for kids. You can actually pointedly say that. Maybe things like Disney Dreamlight Valley, more, you know, Disney Dreamlight Valley and down. But Genshin Impact, I'd say no. I've played a lot of it. I didn't feel like it was pandering to me too much, like I was a child. And I didn't feel like it was too childish in its themes, in the same way as you should, maybe Lord of the Rings, somewhere about pitched about Lord of the Rings, you know, sort of level, where obviously kids can really enjoy it, but it's not pandering and childlike. It's still good for adults and grown-ups, because it's good fantasy fiction. So people like that sort of thing. And if you're a young person, you want to go for the best, most latest thing. If you're an adult, you want to go for the best, most latest thing. I think it'd be really interesting to be a kid these days and to have all that history of video games to be able to play through. I'm going to play Oblivion, which I never played. I'm going to play it on stream at some point this year, but it'll be like one of the first times. Even then, I'm looking back on something that I could have played that was around at a certain time. I was playing different games. Maybe I was more into FIFA at the time, but there was different. Like I lived through that time, whereas people nowadays can say, "Well, I didn't live through this time. I could go back and play the original Assassin's Creed and see what it was like, or I could play today's most recent Assassin's Creed. Which one do you want to do?" Well, I'll probably play today's most recent Assassin's Creed, please. So no wonder everyone wants to play Genshin Impact. It's the most recent, up-to-date, most money spent, best game in a way, isn't it? So
kids play Genshin Impact. Nah, there's plenty of grown-ass fucking men that play this game too. But the truth is, it does have a younger audience. Absolutely. Yeah, for sure. Let me see.
Gaming has a younger, like, popular gaming has a younger audience. I would say Among Us probably had a younger audience when it was top of its trend. Elden Ring, maybe not so much a younger audience, because it's most adults would say, oh, are you of a certain age? No, well, maybe we shouldn't be putting you in front of Elden Ring. But there are lots of games that are broad and have a younger audience, because in general, gaming is put in front of kids quite a lot. There are some games that adults might say, okay, now I'm an adult, I look at it and see it as a childlike game, I'm not as interested. That could be the case, just like films. But there are other films like Disney where it doesn't matter what age you are, people still like, maybe Disney's not the best example, maybe it is more childlike, but you know what I'm saying, like certain things transcend that. I think Genshin Impact is one of those. So
here, so dad playing the game. Yeah. It also, like, that's another thing, is like a dude comes in and plays this game, he doesn't want to be reminded the fact that he's fucking bald. Like, that's the last thing he wants to be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's a big, hairy, greasy, smelly man. Yeah.
Bald memes in chat.
Average age is Tectone age, though. Yeah, I guess so. I think this is crazy. Like, I really like this video. This is really well put together. Hopefully, hopefully he do more of these, and I'll watch them out. Yeah, that's it. Riot just released a cinematic for the first time. It's likes past dislikes past likes. I don't know. I'll look at that maybe if I want. I don't know. We'll see. Tectone is a representation. Yeah, Tectone's the average Genshin player. There you go. Lucari and Tectone. That's the real face behind the player base. Yep, that.
I have no comment.
That's what it is.
There we go. So I don't know. Overall, I really like the video that we were presented with through Asmongold's prism. You know, looking at it through Asmongold's eyes was different and interesting. I really like that video, though. Maybe I should have just watched the video without Asmongold on it, because lots of interesting points made, lots of interesting things to think about, made lots of interesting points, hopefully myself. So I'm happy with that. If I don't go on too much now, I can just knock this on the head and upload it to the internet. Maybe it'll get some views over there on YouTube as well. So I really wanted to watch this video. That's why I was here doing it. And I suppose the only other thing I could do is I could just do my Genshin. Like, I could actually play the damn game. That is so good.
Dodoko? Dodoko, where are you?
Assuming that's made that thing happen. Yep.
These bombs, so heavy.
You know, we talked about it, and now here it is, Genshin Impact. I am actually up on the top mountain up here. Not the toppermost, but up on top of a mountain over here. And if I look in one direction, not one erection, like that band with all the boys in, one direction. If I look over there, I can see Sumeru. And just off in the eye line over there, you can actually see the inverted pyramid in the sky. Can you go there? Yes, you can. Yes, you can. So that's Sumeru over there, yeah? What's over there then? Over there... Wait, I'm going to fall off. Over here, don't fall off. Over there is Storm Peak. It's this big mountain. Can you go up there? Yes, you can. The Skyfrost Nail. Storm Peak. Why do I call it Storm Peak? Dragon Spine. Storm Peak. Dragon Spine. Anyway, you can go up there. So, over there is Mondstadt.
Do you want to come fish blasting with me? Hug it.
It's all over there. It's cool, isn't it? We're above the clouds. Above the clouds raining down where the sounds of original infinite skills create miracles above the clouds. Holding it down. Yes, we are. I would definitely play the Gangstar now, but get me copyright strikes. I'm just gonna, you know, just gonna do my commissions to finish off. I feel like as a Genshin Impact streamer who's streaming Genshin Impact just to do the reaction is a bit weak. I've got these commissions to do anyway, why not just do them on camera while we're at it? This one's a joke of a commission. Because I've got this fan, the red feather fan. Yeah, yourself, yarbles. Hilly chills, you get a free pass today. You're completing a light chasing challenge. The touring light show. You ready for this? You ready? Come on. Should have been the guiding champion of Mondstadt. There we go, it's done. Challenge complete. I bet you thought it was supposed to go on for longer. Well, no, it doesn't. It's finished. Challenge complete. Challenge complete. I need to get these done within this hour, actually. I need to be quick at this. Quick. Let's be quicker. What's this? Operation Halberd Breaker. That sounds important. I might want to resurrect all my dead people. Actually, I have got to complete this now. It's like 2 in the morning here. At 3 in the morning, it ticks over. Come on. Thank you. Defeat the Eremites. I'll defeat you, your Eremites. I'll show you.
Chivalry will never die.
Graceful wet boy.
Something's come up?
And...
I'm here.
I'm here. Operation Halberd Break you. I haven't stopped dancing yet since we met for the first time. I haven't stopped loving you yet. It's alright, it's alright. I keep doing the commissions every day. But by God, some of these commissions. The Eremites, this is a bit of a fight at least. That flying around in the air business. Who's commissioned that? You've got to imagine for the RPG aspect, the role-playing game aspect, that I'm on this mission to do my own stuff, but because I'm a member of the Adventurers
Following
Guild,
orders.
I get all this trouble, and I need to sort it out. No joke that I sort it out.
Nowhere to hide.
Nowhere to hide.
Speed of light.
Have you? We've got nowhere to hide, you chuckers.
This way through the little.
Out.
No Witness the power. Cut to the chase.
Die out. All those elements working together in perfect synchronicity. Pick all that stuff up. That's my stuff now, you chuffers. My stuff. Yeah. I forgot what I was even saying, so it's all good. Let's get these done. Let's get these done. These are important commissions. That was it. So people hand over these in the Adventurers Guild. It's like a kind of police force in a way. There's stuff going on in the world and we need it sorting out. It's not hitmen. Like not like the police actually. Like we don't police anything. We just do. We're like the A team. We're like the A team. If anything, we're the A team. We just take it on freelance. You hand in a commission slip, and if the Adventurers Guild want to sort out your shit, we'll sort it out and we'll pay one of our agents, me, and I'll go out and sort it out, and then you can pay us in like Primo gems or something, and then we'll hand those over to the agents. I think that's how it works. I get Primos out of it anyway. That's what I'm in it for. I'm doing these little jobs, these commissions. Some of them make sense. Go out and beat up all those bad chuffers. I can't do it. I live in the village and I'm scared. I'll go and do it. I'm in the Adventurers Guild, yeah. But others, this guy is poorly and he wants someone to fetch some medicine. A mild condition. So I've got to go and ask the doctor. So, I mean, yes and no. Did you hand that in at the commission's desk and they took that as a commission? How did you do that? Because the commission's desk is in Sumeru. You might as well have just gone and asked the doctor yourself. You had to walk past him to get to the commission's desk. Yes and no. Why am I doing this? I'm busy. I describe his condition. I should delegate this to somebody else. How many times have I told him? So he's going to give me a prescription. Herbal soup. Add 3 portions of mint. High flame till the ingredients float. Mint, high flame till the ingredients float. Right. Let's get back to it. I like a good commission. I don't like a silly commission. This is a silly commission. Oh, Shani. Just on a commission, mate. Can't stop. Maruf. Maruf. What did he say? He said, have the mint, do it high prescription. He can't read the writing. It's mint. How'd you brew it? High flame throughout until... For how long? Until the ingredients float. Right. See, I had to remember that. I'm good at it. Top commissioner. Thanks. He's gone now, he's happy. 10 primos. I'm happy, 10 primos, but by God. This one, band of rogues, go and kill them. That's fine. That's what I do. That's who I am. That's what I'm about. I just got to find my way up there. A band of rogues, yes. Hand it over. I'll sort it out. It's a bit of a chuffer that it's up there. How do you expect me to get up there? What a nightmare. Up there. I'm not stopping for these Aramites. I want to get my job done. If it ticks over to 3 AM where I am, then my commissions go in the bin. I have to start them again. So, I'm on the run, mate. I'm on a time trial challenge. Scorpions now. No one said there was going to be any scorpions. I should get danger money for this one. It's up there. I can't even get up there. Oh, look, there's berries over there. I want them. Everybody shake hands.
Hey!
We do need the berries.
Commit it to memory.
Spiky. My hands. My little hands. Get up there, you. And then we'll just wait to get a little bit of our puff back before we attempt the overhang. Yeah. There we go. Half the challenge is getting up here. The time trial challenge will be how quick can you knock their heads in. Oh, pretty quick. Pretty quick, you think? Pretty quick. Yeah. They don't call me wet boy and friends for nothing. You ready?
Time to act. Happy to oblige.
Happy to oblige.
Rain outlines your
Rain outlines
speed
your
of light. With sword comes shadow.
2 for 1 on that today.
Following orders.
Don't blink.
Hey. 2 for 1 today.
The temple
Rain
of
outlines
wisdom.
your fate. Not taking anything, you chuffer.
Speed of light.
See your friend there, look. See your friend. Ha!
No, my sword.
There's no my sword.
Go.
I told you.
Let me weave you a.
They're on special
Don't blink.
today.
Hey.
I'll be back.
Everyone hold hands.
Everyone hold hands. It's not the most imposing war cry,
Incoming.
but it does herald your death. When you hear that, you're probably going to die.
I'll be back.
Everyone
Cut to
hold
the
hands.
chase.
To the chase.
Don't blink. Got lucky that time. Opening box of Adepti tricks. Life goes on. I let my guard down.
Oi,
Speed of light.
got served. That was quite satisfying. Not a bad commission. Not a bad commission. Let's go back and see if Catherine will now hand over further jewels. You need to get it done before 3 AM. I didn't realise we were doing such a late stream. Let's find... Where's my Catherine? Pop over here and talk to Catherine. Catherine.
Ad Astra Abyssosk.
Ad Astra Abyssosk.
Welcome to the Adventurers Guild.
Thanks. Can I have the primos, please? Would you keep them back there, do you, Catherine? Can I have extra? Can I have 5? An extra, just give me an extra 5. Do you get the end of the desk somewhere? Can I come around the back of the desk? Is that alright? Can I come around the back of the desk?
Thank you for
Just the standard 20 then.
Ad Astra.
Thanks, Catherine. Bonus. Groundhog Day on these commissions, mate. Claimed. Where there's blame, there's a claim. Thanks very much, Catherine. And thank you very much, you. You've been a good chuffer. You've been good chuffers. And if you can't be good, you're naughty. I'll be back tomorrow on YouTube, hopefully in the daytime early enough to make it before around 2 o'clock. Maybe that's my arranged sort of 2-ish daytime YouTube stream tomorrow. We've got a sort of, what would you call it, like a calendar? You know, like a schedule. Tomorrow, daytime YouTube. That's today, it says on the calendar, because it's 2 in the morning. So, I play Genshin at the weekends. Just did it now as well. Shh. Streamer. And, yeah. 2 years streaming on Sunday. I haven't got anything major planned for it, but we'll do something. We'll do something. So you be good, my little podcast. You be good. And if you can't be good, you're naughty.